Hi, this is El with Remax Realtron. Today we excited to have Robert, who's chartered professional accountant and his partner of KBFP. Hi, Robert.
Hello, Al. How are you?
I'm fine. So here we have some questions from you, and thank you so much for your time to be here to answer our questions.
Right.
What are some of the ways to own, buy, and close a deal on the property, Robert?
Good question. So you can close the deal in many different ways. So it's important to figure that out when you're signing the deal, but you don't necessarily have to. So if you enter a deal, and if you don't know who the name is of the individual or entity that will own the property, you can put the offer in trust. And you have until the deal closes to find out exactly who that will be. So I get the question also, should I be creating holding companies for my rental properties, or should I hold it personally? And as you know, my answer always is, it depends. And so it depends on where the money is. It depends if you have money in a holding corporation or in a corporation already. I mean, I have clients that have a lot of are cash rich and they have money in a holding corporation. So, they'd be paying additional taxes if they withdrew the funds to own it personally. So if you don't have money in a corporation, you still might find it advantageous to own it through a corporation. In this case, you would advance the corporation the funds to purchase a property. And there's some flexibility in corporately held properties in that you can have family members as shareholders, and which may provide some advantages. And if the property is held for long term, if the property is held for short term, I'd say there's no advantages in a holding property in a corporation. It actually may become more cumbersome and complex and costly, but there still may be advantages to for splitting some income. So the answer always is it depends, but then you have to see what's right for you.
Appreciate it. So, many people have investment properties. How do you report rental income and expenses of a rental property?
Well, those that have that own the properties personally, they would report it on a separate schedule within their personal tax return. And there's some complexities to doing so, but generally it's relatively straightforward, where you're reporting the top line rental revenue as well as your expenses for the 12 months. Where it gets a bit complex is when you do things like renovations or major repairs that need to be written off over time and not all in the year that you incur the expense. So there's a bit of a depreciation or amortization that you take that government allows you. And then it also gets a bit complex when you have a capital gain when you sell. The other thing that gets often missed is that by owners of properties is that CRA doesn't like when rental properties show losses year after year after year. Mm-hmm. They actually have an expectation to have properties show a profit eventually. And the rule of thumb is where they don't bother you, and it's unwritten, but what I've seen in the past 20 years is that 2 to 3 years, they allow you to have these losses, but I've actually seen people assessed the losses, and they eliminate the losses, they bring it to zero. So when you have a loss, it actually helps your personal tax situation. But if they bring it to zero, there's actually no effect. And so it's important to understand these things when you're dealing with rental property and reporting on your personal tax return.
That's why we have to have a good accountant.
It helps. Yeah,
exactly. And we are getting close to the tax season. So there is another question regarding tax. Should people be preparing simple tax returns on their own? Do you recommend?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the simple answer is yes, for straightforward returns. For more complex returns that have different pieces of legislation that kick in, it's best to seek professional advice. And what are those complex returns? Well, returns for people that are self-employed, sole proprietors, people with small businesses that are unincorporated, and people with capital gains and complex transactions. And they should always seek the advice of a professional, because you just may be missing something. So, it might be even more expensive than a professional if you miss something, that's important, right? So it might cost you that in taxes. But today, the tax applications online connect to CRA and allow you to upload information directly to your tax app. And so, important fields are populated in your return, and it's pretty quick and cheap. So I think the future of tax returns is that CRA will be preparing these returns for people. And it's more the simpler ones, like people on pension or retired as a starting point, but who knows really where. But all I know is that I don't want them to prepare my return.
Exactly. So, this website provided by CRA, or is it just random website online?
Yeah, I mean, there's like the Turbotaxes of the world, and there's a number. You just type in, Tax Canada filing, and you're going to get a whole slew of them. There's so many out there,
Hmm.
and it's straightforward. Again, if you don't have, if it's straightforward, let's say you have a T4 or you're a pensioner, it's pretty easy. But if you have those small businesses or other things where there's rules and limits and
Hmm.
things that government allows and doesn't allow, like home office use, and which is a big topic this year, is home office use. How much should we be claiming for a home office? Everybody worked at home this year, it seems,
Exactly.
and so they have special rules on that stuff, and you should seek advice on that, or you can do a lot of research on your own, like just googling stuff, and that's what we recommend. And the future of tax returns is basically the individual taxpayer should be preparing their own because they have the tools now.
I
So.
see. So let's say people want to reach you out and choose you as an accountant because you're very great accountant as we are using you. So what's your contact information?
Yeah, people can just reach me at best is my email at rob@kbfp.ca.
And what's your office number?
My office phone number is 905-761-8080.
We appreciate your time, Robert. As always, your advice is very valuable to us, and hopefully we have another session with you in near future.
We should. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
the opportunity to talk to your viewers and your followers, because I know you have a bunch of them, so it's fantastic. Hopefully they find this useful.
thank you. Have a nice day. Keep
You too.
safe.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.